Tonight's excursion starts right here at the infamous Sunset Strip in West Hollywood, California. It's Sunday night, February 22nd, 2026. It's about 11 p.m. Kind of cool. Pretty moderate. It's about 58 degrees Fahrenheit. And I thought I'd take a stroll down the Sunset Strip. See some of the lights, see some of the sights, check out some of the vibes, see if any of the clubs are still open. I'm expecting things to be closed. Just kind of want to check out the aftermath from the weekend. And who knows, maybe we'll bump into some rock stars. What's up, everybody? My name's Chris Coaster. Recording this video tonight here on a quiet Sunset Strip. And I'd love for you to come along with me. So let's get to it. Here on the corner of Crescent Heights and Sunset Boulevard once was the famous Schwab's Pharmacy, an iconic location here on the Sunset Strip. And it looks like we got a CVS pharmacy there today. Schwab's Pharmacy is kind of a legendary Hollywood landmark. Kind of served as like a central hub for the film industry from its opening in the early 30s. I think it closed like in the early 80s. But really, it was more than just a drugstore. It was kind of like an unofficial office, networking space, social club for movie stars. Struggling actors would go there, try to be seen. A lot of industry deals went down there. And truly just an iconic spot here at the beginning of the Sunset Strip. Right here on the corner of Crescent Heights and Sunset used to be the Coconut Teaser. Now it's Hyde Kitchen, kind of been that for like 15 years, but this was one of the most infamous rock venues we had here on the Sunset Strip. Right here on the corner of Crescent Heights and Sunset Boulevard, the beginning of the Sunset Strip on the eastern end. The Coconut Teaser, no longer there. Back when I was in a band, we actually played the Coconut Teaser many of times. I played the drums. I pretty much played every venue you'll find here on Sunset Strip. And that giant billboard right there, now it's Bridgerton. The post goes right down to the bottom. I remember setting up my drums right under that. It was so huge. It still is a big billboard. Just looking at it, towering above your head while you're setting up your drums. And it was a cool club, the Coconut Teaser. They hosted rock bands, punk rock bands, indie bands, everything. But that was it right there, the Coconut Teaser. So really, the whole reason the Sunset Strip, exists, it's because technically it's just outside of the city of Los Angeles city limits. So what that means is back in the day, LAPD really had no jurisdiction over here, and they really didn't cross that city boundary. So people did some crazy stuff. They got away with a lot of debauchery and things that the LAPD really couldn't even get their hands on. And so much of that debauchery took place right here at Chateau Marmont Hotel. The Chateau Marmont on Sunset is really legendary for its rock and roll decadence, Hollywood scandals. It's actually where John Belushi, unfortunately, passed away. Billy Idol wrecked that place back in the day. Lindsay Lohan racked up like a $40,000 hotel bill there. Never paid, got banned. I kind of remember hearing about that. And just a lot of other bizarre ongoings. It's definitely haunted. The Mayhem Ball, Lady Gaga, sold out. If you wanted to get tickets, at least here in LA, you probably get it for like $5,000 on the resale market. Right across from the Chateau Marmont Hotel. Man, it looks creepy up there. On a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you'll see black SUV after black SUV lined up right there, picking up all the party goers, all the A-listers. Maybe not A-listers, but C and D listers maybe. Apple pretty much owns that billboard right there. They've had that thing since like 2007, I think, when the first iPhone came out. They never have let that one go. Here's the city line. Welcome to West Hollywood. West Hollywood really didn't come into incorporation until like 1983, 1984, something like that. But before then, this was unincorporated part of LA County. Only the LA County sheriffs had jurisdiction. And they're way more chill and laid back compared to LAPD. Pretty much get away with anything down here. And way before the neon, this place was literally just a bunch of dirt and avocado trees. Kind of hard to imagine, right? Way before there was a paved road here, celebrities would come down here on horseback down to the polo fields. They like to play polo on horseback back in those days. Really, the Sunset Strip kind of had like a bridle path vibe. And during those polo days was also the Prohibition. Sunset Strip was really the place where you came down if you wanted to do some things and not be seen. Nobody was really watching. Back on Crescent Heights and Sunset, there used to be this place called the Garden of Allah, where movie stars basically went to misbehave away from the camera. Actually, the mob really kind of built this place, Sunset Strip. Guys like Bugsy Siegel, Mickey Cohen. They were running the show, all from the Sunset Tower, which you can see kind of right there. I'll be making my way over there shortly. But first, I'm going to look at this guy, Red Hulk. Man, that guy's awesome looking. What's up, Hulk? You're red. Very cool. Looks like you got a Pink Panther in there, too. That's cool. The Lab Athletic Club. You can get ripped just like the Hulk if you want to join this place. That used to be the Standard Hotel. They've been renovating that thing for years now. I don't know what happened, but they used to have a sign, the Standard. They hung it upside down. A lot of girls from the nightclub and a lot of SUVs and limos would be pulling into that porte-cochere right in there. But not so much these days. Then the Standard Hotel right here used to have a glass box behind the front desk with a live performance artist just sleeping in it. Man, that's crazy. They just have an artist just sleeping in it right behind the front desk. Total peak 2000s weirdness. Man, I really wish I could just walk down the middle of the street. I drive down this street all the time and you can see a lot better from the middle of the street compared to the sidewalk. But I'll do my best. Try to show some of the sights, see some of the billboards and some of the lights, check out some of the infamous rock venues and nightclubs that we've seen throughout the years. Carney's Express Limited. Another really good hot dog and hamburger place. Not as good as Pink's, but it must be really cool to eat inside of that train car. I have eaten there before a long time ago, but I'm more of a Pink's loyalist. Dobrik's Pizza's open though. They're relatively new. They've been here, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years. I think some of the hype has died down a little bit though. I was seeing crowds and crowds of people in here, but really not so much anymore. Most of the lights are on, which is always a good sign. They got some new neon there. But like I said, there used to be crowds of people here. I mean, they'd be overflowing on the patio, even on a Sunday night, Thursday night, Friday night. Not so much. Then you got the famous saddle ranch here. You can ride a mechanical bull in there if you're so inclined. Like I said, it is Sunday night, and I just kind of want to see the aftermath of a busy weekend down here on the Sunset Strip. I do got to keep talking, though, because a lot of this music is copywritten. Saddle Ranch has all these cool little lanterns. And really, the name of the game on Sunset Strip is Billboards. Everyone is competing, and the billboard space is premium. You got certain companies like Apple, they've held the same billboard for like 20 years. Disney, they always have the same billboards. They never let them go. Once they get the billboard, that's theirs forever, essentially. Then directly across from the Saddle Ranch, you got the Sunset Tower Hotel. One of the most famous Art Deco landmark type towers you have in the city of Los Angeles. Well, actually, we're not in the city of Los Angeles, like I said. We're in the city of West Hollywood right now. But this tower existed before the city of West Hollywood existed. Sunset Tower was really the spot back then. Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe. They basically lived in that place. Sunset Tower. Beautiful Art Deco. You also had the mob controlling the Sunset Strip back in the heyday. You had Bugsy Siegel, Mickey Cohen, essentially running the show right from that tower, the Sunset Tower. So cool. I love the Art Deco. All the little indentations and all the cool little artistic aesthetic. And these little decorative pillar top decorations are really cool. A lot of cool ornate detail up there. Just more of that oil-based, hand-carved, hand-sculpted decor they added to the old Art Deco facades here you find all over LA. Looks like they got a Zeppelin up there, some airplanes, maybe some Indian stupas. Then up above, you got some more of it. Looks like you got a stag, maybe some stars, some stripes maybe. There's a lot of cool stuff up there. Very beautiful. The Sunset Tower Hotel, right here at 8358 Sunset Boulevard. Established 1929. Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe, the Rat Pack. Then you get the mob in here too, Bugsy Siegel, Mickey Cohen, just running the show here from the Sunset Tower Hotel. You get illegal gambling. The list goes on and on. What went on in there? A lot of famous people. Alfred Hitchcock, Clark Gable. Not sure if it's coming through with the glare of the glass. RKO, MGM, Universal, Paramount. Yeah, that's a cool lantern. Wrought iron. It's kind of Craftsman, maybe. Art Deco. The Sunset Tower Hotel. Beautiful Art Deco. Right next to the Best Western Sunset Plaza. This Best Western has been here for years. This is actually one of the first buildings that incorporated that whole corner LED billboard type vibe. I love how the lights go on the side of the building. And they all go in sync with whatever they're promoting up there. And believe it or not, back in the day, the Sunset Strip didn't even have sidewalks for curbs or the longest time. They just gave it this whole dangerous edge compared to like Beverly Hills. Then right here at the Comedy Store, where they're blasting a lot of copywritten music, pretty much every comedian, every famous comedian you can think of got their start there, started off there in the early days. Just an infamous spot for some of the world's most famous comedians at the Comedy Store. And before it was the Comedy Store, it was a place called Ciro's. And it was really where you'd find the true A-listers of the golden age of Hollywood, all decked out in their tuxedos. And it had a cool mid-century kind of modern vibe to it. It really had an elegant kind of mid-century look, and I'm kind of sad that they got rid of it back in its heyday. But the Comedy Store has been here for almost 40, maybe 50 years now, so it's been a long time. Man, those are some cool chandeliers they got in there. We can always see people partying in there. They have a bar, a little outdoor bar section. And it's really cool. They have names of all the people that played here back in the day. Names upon names up there. Hopefully they're coming through. I can read them off. I see Sinbad, Steve Schaefer, Nancy Redmond, Jeff Wayne, Roger Burr. Then down there you got the Belly, the headliner room. Shows nightly. But even on a Sunday night, this place is going off. They must have had a good set tonight. Open 365 days a week, and I always see it jam-packed with partygoers. Just a lot of people in there having a good time, blasting a lot of copywritten music, so couldn't really give it too much of a display. But yeah, it's just a famous spot for years and years. The Comedy Store, formerly Ciro's, one of the most elegant nightclubs in Hollywood on the Sunset Strip. You would see a lot of A-listers wearing tuxedos. Frank Sinatra, the whole Rat Pack, Sammy Davis Jr. Also, as I make my way west here on the Sunset Strip, I encounter a lot of famous haunts and stopping grounds that used to be here, like the Macamba, the Trocadero, aka the Troc. This is a cool little building right here. Hey, thanks for the light. Katana. It's a pretty cool fountain. What's up, guy? I think you've seen a lot of happenings down here throughout the years. Only if you could talk. The stories you could tell. There was a TV show called 77 Sunset Strip. Really make the whole world think that the Sunset Strip was the coolest place on earth. Cartier, Rodeo Drive. Just walked by that place the other night on Rodeo. They probably have $1 million in jewelry right on display, right through the glass. I know I'm on Sunset Strip, but man, Rodeo Drive, it's pretty impressive. All the merchandise they have on display right through the glass. Just a tiny little thin pane of glass separating millions of dollars worth of merchandise. As I make my way to the western end of Sunset Strip, it kind of starts getting more luxurious, more elegant, and rock and roll vibes are kind of almost gone. Pretty sure this is like the last Pink Dot in existence. The original delivery service in the valley, we'd have Pink Dots deliver us beer. As long as you got the order in before 1 a.m., they would deliver to you. And they'd always deliver in these cool little bugs. not so much anymore. Green Arrow. Serving LA since 1987. When we would order from them, it'd be like the late 90s in the San Fernando Valley, Burbank. Legendary delivery. And this place is brand new. Sora, Japanese. They got a really cool cube LED billboard. One of the newest ones here on the Sunset Strip. Goes on the bottom, goes on the top, goes on the side. Coming soon. They're not even open yet. They've been working on that for like 2 or 3 years, and it's finally looking like it's complete. Taste of Japan's finest, coming soon. Mel's Drive-In. Excellent burgers, but nothing better than getting a slice of pie over at Mel's. I highly recommend it. Excellent pie. Really still haven't got to the Whisky or the Roxy or the Viper Room or the former Key Club. But now we're starting to see high-end retail. Times are changing here on the Sunset Strip. Get your cowboy boots. Boot Star, Los Angeles. Get tons of cowboy boots in here. Definitely have a cool display. Got an old cattle skull. Oh, that's pretty cool. Got some gasoline. Nice theme. The Old West with elegance. Right here, Boot Star, Los Angeles. This whole area, Sunset Plaza, is like a little strip of high-end dining, high-end shopping. Kind of sandwiched right in between the comedy store section of Eastern Sunset Strip and the rock and roll section you'll find as we get towards the western end, towards the Whisky, Rainbow Room, the Roxy. Some really good restaurants on this section. Andy Warhol. And there you go, Andy Warhol. His famous tomato soup. And there you have the darling herself, Marilyn Monroe. And I like this display. Cornflakes, Brillo pads. That's some cool neon on that Brillo right there. There we go, Andy Warhol. Here at Revolver, your Andy Warhol specialist. A lot of Campbell Soup art. Man, it's so cool in there. Got Mickey Mouse, Ronald Reagan. Kind of a freaky looking Mickey Mouse looking guy. So cool. Revolver Gallery. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday by appointment only. A lot of Brillo. Really cool logo for a Brillo pad. And I've always liked it when you stack up all the boxes. It kind of does look like art. And I'm pretty sure that's what Andy Warhol thought too. Right, Andy? Man, that's so cool. This is a cool shot with Andy and the Campbells in the back. Hey, Andy. Looking good. Man, you could drive down the street 1,000 times, but you really don't get the sense of it until you're out here on the sidewalk looking at everything. So much cool stuff. Hey, some crowns. Got some jewelers, high-end boutiques, all in this little Sunset Plaza section. Kind of like a mini Rodeo Drive right here on the Sunset Strip. Man, that's really cool. Display. We're at Koi. Toyota Salon. Oh, that's a cool bonsai tree. Then you can't forget the cool, trendy kids boutique. Sunset Kids. Man, imagine a little Rockstar kid sporting this. Billie Eilish. Cool little dude. And look at that happy face pink thing way back there. Pink fur sweater. That's awesome. They got a cool chandelier right there too, that orange. Then you got some more high-end pottery. Man, these are really cool. China. A lot of glassware in here. You got fine glassware. It's crazy. The rock and roll capital, maybe of the world, Sunset Strip. And now you got this kind of stuff in here. Imagine filling that with your brandy. Would Guns N' Roses want to do that? Now we're coming up to the rock and roll section of the strip. There was a club called The Trip. This club was the first place to really embrace the whole psychedelic 60s scene. It was so loud and crazy, the city tried to shut it down almost immediately. Man, K-pop Demon Hunters. Kids surely went crazy for that show, huh? That song Golden, you'd hear it everywhere. I barely hear it now. It kind of came and went. Really, the 60s got so intense. The kids started rioting because that's when they instilled the 10 p.m. curfew. And the kids did not want to go home by 10 p.m. They literally rioted. And here, the Supreme Skate Shop, the home of the former Tower Records, famous Tower Records here on the Sunset Strip. Long gone. They have a half pipe in there. I'm surprised they'd have their blinds closed, but it's really cool in there. But not as cool as Tower Records used to be. And here you got the Viper Room, the world famous Viper Room. Johnny Depp opened this club back in early 90s, but more famous for the unfortunate passing of beloved River Phoenix. Pass out right here on the sidewalk. Really a cool club. Good place to see a band. Local authority. Cool little vibe. Looks like old school Punk Flyers. Viper Room. Right next door to the Viper Room. Artist in residence. Trouble Andrew. There used to be a really cool Thai restaurant here. Rock and roll Thai restaurant. We're right across from the Viper Room. Now I guess it's just a panini cafe. In the early 60s, the Whisky A Go-Go opened up. They literally invented the go-go dance at the Whisky A Go-Go. It's hard to believe that the actual go-go dance was invented right here at the Whisky A Go-Go. Hence the name Whisky A Go-Go. Currently honoring Sebastian Bach, Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. Could you imagine seeing the Doors just playing a random bar? They were the house band long before they blew up. The United Western Secret. Some of the biggest hits in history, like Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys, were recorded in studios tucked right behind the main strip. And I'm pretty sure it's this apartment right here where Motley Crue lived. I think Slash lived there too. Either maybe that one. Definitely one of these apartments. Got the apartment right there. Then you got the Whisky A Go-Go right there. Then right above the Whisky A Go-Go in the shroud of darkness is going to be the biggest LED billboard display that they have here on the Sunset Strip. It's not open yet, too bad, but it's a big one. Almost looks like a UFO floating up there. Can't wait to see that thing in action. And here's the other side of that massive billboard under construction. I think it's going to be the biggest LED billboard. And it looks like it's on the Whisky A Go-Go property. That could be a big deal for the whiskey. Big money maker. Then right there, up those staircase, is where you would go see the club manager. If you're a band that wanted to play here, maybe you didn't have a manager or a promoter, kind of an up-and-coming band, they'd say, sure, you can play here, but you got to sell 50 tickets. Each ticket's $20. So what is that? 50 times 20? 1,000? So you'd be on the hook for $1,000 just to play here. They called it pay to play. And the Whisky A Go-Go started that. That's pretty much how they make all their money, because the big bands really don't play the whiskey. They would play like the House of Blues, the Key Club. But now both of those venues don't even exist. So you get a lot of like tribute bands and just bands that are trying to come up. I'm sure it's the same. Whisky kind of started the whole pay-to-play kind of, I don't want to say scheme, but they would get local bands to make them sell their own tickets just so they could play on the Whisky A Go-Go stage. They would get like 50 tickets or 100 tickets that they'd have to sell. Try to get all their friends and their family to buy tickets. And no matter how many tickets they sold, they would be responsible for that bill. Maybe like $500 essentially. But if you sold all the tickets, you'd actually make some money. So who knows? If you have the fans, I guess it might work, but kind of a sketchy kind of thing. I think the Roxy did it too. The Roxy opened up in '73 with Neil Young, and it's still one of the best places to catch a show. Another infamous kind of LA Sunset Strip venue. They had Black Flag. Oh yeah, so on January 16th they had Black Flag, the Dickies, Angry Samoans, DI. Nothing scheduled for February. Oh yeah, never mind. You got February over here. Do you recognize any of these artists? Still looks like Golden Voice is putting on all these shows. Kind of another infamous kind of pay-to-play venue. Only for unknown bands, basically, that aren't set up by a promoter. Man, that was an epic show, Black Flag. The Dickies, DI, Angry Samoans the next night. My last video, Chinatown, Hong Kong Cafe. These bands literally blew up the Hong Kong Cafe in Chinatown. Check it out. It's my previous nighttime vlog here in LA. And it's kind of crazy because I talked about these bands. The Germs, Black Flag. And here they are at the Roxy. Well, it was last month. It's February 22nd right now, 2/22. But I remember driving by, I was like, whoa, Black Flag on the marquee. Then the Dickies, DI, and Angry Samoans. I didn't see that, but I did see Black Flag on the marquee, and my jaw dropped. So cool seeing Black Flag on the marquee. A lot of these old school punk bands, though, are really making a resurgence, you know, and they're getting paid pretty good now. They're probably getting paid better than ever. You know, ticket sales are so expensive now. Even the punk shows, I think that was like a $60 punk show. I don't know, actually, to tell you the truth, but yeah. All the punk bands are making a resurgence right now, which is really cool. Then right next to the Roxy, you have the famous Rainbow Room. Back in the heyday, all the famous rock stars would go in there and have a drink. Here at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, it'd be a regular occurrence. You'd see Lemmy from Motorhead just playing video poker every single night and day. For like, I don't want to say 12 hours, but just all day, starting in the early afternoon into the late night. You get Axl Rose, Slash, Tommy Lee, Vince Neil, Nikki Sixx, just drinking. That was their watering hole right here, the Rainbow Room. Playing a lot of music though. I don't want to let the copywritten music get onto my video, so I got to keep on talking. But you just see Axl Rose just kind of walking around. He'd get his whiskey at Gill's, come in here, the Rainbow Room, all before they were famous. You get Lemmy from Motorhead playing video poker. Pretty much 12 hours a day. Day and night, every day. Rainbow Room blasting a lot of copywritten music, so I can't really film it too much without kind of getting copywritten. Then you got a Waymo. These things are all over the place. Self-driving taxis. He was waiting there for a while. I'm certain he got his customer, so. Were you born on a day ending in Y? Waymo. Anyone driving in there? Later. Man, I'll take that Ferrari. Look how low to the ground it is. Think I can fit? Classic sighting on the Ferrari Testarossa. What would you rather have, a Ferrari Testarossa or the Lamborghini Countach? Back 1988, maybe. Now we're coming up to the old Key Club. Now it's just called Keys. I don't know if I want to get too close with my camera without looking like a weirdo. But a pretty happening nightclub. The Keys. Used to be the Key Club. Famous rock venue. But now a famous nightclub. The Key Club used to have a lot of like punk rock, rock and roll, hip hop. But they never reopened after the pandemic, and when they did, it's called Keys now. And it's a pretty happening nightclub. No more live bands. They even have traffic patrol. It's kind of incredible on a Sunday night. Must be someone famous in there right now. But it really doesn't matter here at that club. Sunday, Monday, maybe not Monday, but on a Sunday night, it's kind of a spectacle. Normally it's quiet. And it's already about midnight too. 12:38. And they're still waiting outside. Keys. A line of people to get in. Formerly the Key Club. My band played there. Better luck next time. I think around 2010, 2011. Not really sure. Actually, we played there a few times, but that was the last time we played there. We played with Slick Shoes, pop punk. Hey, look at Honest Abe. I kind of don't want to look too much of like a creeper. I kind of chickened out. I didn't want to walk right by. But yeah, happening nightclub on a quiet Sunday night here on the Sunset Strip. Except the Keys. That place is hopping. Formerly the Key Club. You're a nice kitty. You live on Sunset Strip? Are you a Rockstar kitty? You have boots. You have pretty boots. You're nice. You live right here at Audio Video Systems? Well, stay out of the street. Kind of making my way towards the end of the Sunset Strip. You got one more block, but it's getting really quiet. And this is another famous liquor store right here, Gil Turner's. If it was 1987, you might see Vince Neil and Axl Rose coming out of that store. Just like it was no big deal picking up their whiskey. They never got along though. And they're closing up for the night, Gil Turner's. Fine wines and spirits. Really cool sign. It would be common to see Axl Rose just walking right out of this with a bottle of whiskey. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna walk by Keys, formerly the Key Club, and formerly Gazzari's, actually. The exact spot Van Halen got its start here on the Sunset Strip. Nice matte blue Ferrari. No more punk rock or no more rock and roll. No more Guns N' Roses, no more Van Halen. Gazzari's, formerly the Key Club, now the Keys. Formerly the Key Club. Then before that, in the 80s, it was Gazzari's, where Van Halen got his start. Basically got famous here. Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses. Even John Bon Jovi, when he visited West Hollywood, would open up for Van Halen. Already 1 a.m. and it's a quiet Sunday night, so it's hopping. Must have been interesting to see Van Halen or Motley Crue. Or imagine even seeing the Doors back in the 60s. Just kind of walking around like it's no big deal. But this is pretty much the only thing happening tonight right now on Sunset, so it's 1 a.m. Getting kind of, well, it's not cold. It's nice. It's about 53 degrees now, so I'm in my jacket. And it's kind of crazy, right across the street in this hotel, the former Hyatt House, they called it the Riot House, actually. Bands would just trash the hotel rooms. The Hyatt Riot House, they would call it. Really, it was the only hotel that let these rock stars even check in. The Hyatt Riot House. Famous here on the western end of the Sunset Strip. They always have really cool displays right here. Now it's the World of Warcraft midnight. They got the smoke and the fog. When midnight falls. Hope lights the dark. Preparing myself to pass by the World of Warcraft. And this, like I said, this whole empty lot is like a display for movies, video games. It's really cool because you get a lot of these interactive, immersive advertisements for these movies and TV. There's a couple spots in particular that will do this, and this is one of them. Right now they're promoting the World of Warcraft. I guess a movie? I saw the first World of Warcraft movie. I know it was a famous video game back in the day. Must be the part 2 maybe of the movie. When midnight falls, hope lights the dark. Man, it's so cool. I know at Universal Studios Hollywood Fan Fest nights, they did Dungeons and Dragons, but I could see a World of Warcraft. So cool. I got it on selfie track. World of Warcraft. Like I said, I saw at Universal Studios, they're having Dungeons and Dragons Fan Fest nights. This would be another cool one. They always have really good displays at this spot in particular. Right now it's World of Warcraft, midnight. Well, we'll just have to see. And usually these immersive advertisement displays for all these movies, they get a lot of people. So on a quiet Sunday night, it's kind of cool just to see it with no one around. So it's the 11th installment of the famous World of Warcraft installment. So that answers my question. I don't know too much about the World of Warcraft, but I know it's super famous. Looks like the classic cat is no more. Also a shame. Book Soup. That's a famous bookstore. Bookseller to the great and infamous. Book Soup, been here since 1975. The most famous bookstore, probably definitely in LA, but probably all in California. It looks like it's a venue for you get signed books by authors. Daughters of Darling, Chris Innes, Hollywood Cowgirl Stuntwoman. That's going to be a good book. Crashing through that glass ceiling with a lasso. Just another cool little bookstore you got here in Southern California, in Hollywood. One of the few remaining. And here at this Rocky and Bullwinkle statue, just another cool little landmark you see here on the Sunset Strip. Something you drive by 1,000 times, but you never get out of the car to look at it. Unless you're walking down the sidewalk, of course. Like tonight. So cool though. Rocky and Bullwinkle, established 1961. Actually, Sunset Strip is kind of, I'm not going to say livening up, but people are starting to emerge from whatever nightclub is open now because it's almost 2 a.m. I think it's like 1:30 a.m., so not quite, it's 1:17, but still you see a lot of people coming out of the clubs, and Netflix really has a lot of billboards on Sunset Boulevard now. The Night Agent. Is that Spider-Man up there? Doing all right up there? So many shops coming in, going out. Sushi, yeah. They got some cool looking billboards in there. Cupid lips. Yeah, those are pretty cool. Cool little mini car. Sushi and Cupid lips. So much history right in this section of the Sunset Strip. Trocadero, Mambinos, Ciro's. The place to be seen for the Hollywood elite in the golden era of Hollywood. Nirvana played the Roxy in 1991. Pretty much killed the whole hair metal scene in one night. Then in the 80s, they had the Billboard Wars. Bands would really spend their entire recording budget trying to buy up the biggest billboard possible, mainly for bragging rights, and that's about all. Then by the late 90s, the scene really got a lot darker and kind of more gothic. You have like clubs like Bar Sinister taking over. Then by the early 2000s, you start getting the luxury hotels kind of moving in, really taking away that whole gritty punk rock and roll vibe, trading it off for more of a luxurious experience. Scream 7, Burn It All Down. Can't wait to see that one. I already have my tickets booked. Universal City Walk, IMAX. It's going to be epic. Opening Friday night. I'll be there. I have AMC Stubs A-list. So I could potentially see up to 4 movies a week, which is kind of crazy. As long as I see 2 movies, I think a month, maybe 3, I break even or I come out ahead. But last night I actually did see 2 movies. Me and my wife, we went to Universal Studios Hollywood. Then we saw 2 movies at Universal City Walk. We saw Crime 101. That was a cool movie. Starring Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry. That was a good movie. Then we saw Dracula, a new take of the Dracula movie. That was really good too. Classic Dracula though, just a new telling of it. Talking about Tower Records, when that closed in like 2006, kind of marked the end of an era and really might have been the year the Sunset Strip lost its soul forever. Sad day when Tower Records closed. Looks like the Saddle Ranch still has a few stragglers. They're trying to keep the rock spirit alive here on Sunset Boulevard. They're having the Sunset Rock Festival where they had actually shut down Sunset Boulevard. Valentine's Day may be over, but you can still get some action as long as you have a Netflix account. Love him or hate him, but Netflix really, I don't want to say saved Hollywood, but man, bringing Hollywood into the new era. And you can really tell when you're here on Sunset Boulevard. They have many a billboard. Coming up to the Body Shop, one of the most famous strip clubs in history. There'll be a time where you see Axl Rose maybe, or Vince Neil. Girls, Girls, Girls. That's where you get that famous song from Motley Crue. In the late 80s, it would be a common occurrence just to see Tommy Lee walking right out the door. You get that famous song. Body Shop, Fort Lauderdale, West Hollywood. I have never been in there though. I'm too much of a chicken to even do stuff like that. I'm happily married. Got a wife, got a daughter. But even in my early years, just really wasn't my kind of thing. I did enjoy, playing punk rock, playing drums. I was in many bands that played here on the Sunset Strip. Most prominently, my band was Better Luck Next Time. That was our name. Well, still is. We never really broke up, but technically we're still a band. We just haven't played in a long time. We played the Whisky, the Roxy, the Viper Room, Key Club, Coconut Teaser, Knitting Factory, but that was on the Walk of Fame. But that's just Sunset Strip and in Hollywood. We were pretty big. We were big in Japan. We were huge in Japan. In 2006, we were the best-selling foreign punk rock band. I'm not sure if it was punk rock or rock and roll, but in 2006, 2007, those years, we were huge in Japan. And these 3 billboards are usually pretty cool because they called continuing billboards, which the first billboard will say something, then the second billboard will say something. Then way down there, you got the third billboard, which will say something. But it looks like right now they're just advertising Bridgerton. Now I made it back to Hollywood proper. Leaving West Hollywood, back to Hollywood. Yep, the Sunset Strip. Spent a lot of years on the Sunset Strip with work, playing in bands, played many shows on the Sunset Strip. If you want to check us out, we're called Better Luck Next Time, pop punk, SoCal. You could just Google us or whatever, only if you like. Or don't, maybe. Then right there at the middle Netflix billboard, which I said earlier, I actually played the Coconut Teaser. I think I was like 14 years old when I played there for the very first time. And it was a 21 and up venue. So I had to get like parent permission and sign all these papers just to be able to perform in there, play the drums. The Coconut Teaser pretty much marks the beginning of the Sunset Strip. Those are the days on the Sunset Strip. Yep, the Coconut Teaser right there above my shoulder is where I got my rock and roll start at playing. I was in a band called Large Negative at that time. And they were a really cool venue. You didn't have to pay to play there. So it wasn't that hard to get our friends to show up. At least they had to be 21 though. Luckily, my older brother was in that band. He's 7 years older than me and he was, I guess, 21 minimum. So I started at a younger age, 14, 15, all the way up to like 32. Then with my other band, Better Luck Next Time, we toured everywhere. Then today here at the Laugh Factory, this is where you get all your national comedians now. They still play the Comedy Store, but you'll get national comedians on a regular basis here. Laugh Factory, established 1979. So a couple years after the Comedy Store. It's normal to see long lines of people waiting to get inside the Laugh Factory. Man, K-pop Demon Hunters, was that a phenomenon or what? Kids went crazy for them. Well, I think that's going to do it. Had a nice stroll down the Sunset Strip. Saw some cool stuff. Still pretty busy for a Sunday night. Learned some history. It's always fun just getting out here on the sidewalk, seeing all the sights up close. You know, you literally drive by 1,000 times and you just don't get out just to see what the heck is going on. But it's getting pretty late. It's about 2 a.m. now. You can tell all the clubs are getting out. Whatever club is left, so the cars are back on the street making a bunch of noise. So, like I said, had a good time out here on the Sunset Strip. So, if you made it this far, I appreciate it. If you feel like it, maybe like, subscribe. If you're feeling adventurous, really help me out. But really, I think that's going to do it. So I'm going to call it a night. Right as I come up to Sunset Boulevard in Fairfax. Thanks for watching. Chris Coaster, over and out.